The boy's voice broke through the air, trembling yet sharp, his words echoing in a room that wasn't meant for someone like him. Just give me a chance. You're wasting hours looking at numbers when the solution is right here in front of you. His hands shook, not out of fear, but out of the weight of courage he had just summoned. A silence swallowed the room, dozens of expensive suits turning their heads toward the one person who didn't belong. The janitor's son, his shoes scuffed, his shirt ironed too many times, the fabric thinning at the collar. No invitation had brought him here, just an unshakable belief that brilliance didn't need a title to be heard. The CEO leaned back in his chair, his brow tightening with curiosity. Around the conference table, executives whispered, their voices dripping with disbelief. "Who is this kid?" one muttered. "Why is the cleaner's son even in this room?" Another hissed under their breath. But the boy didn't flinch. His mother's words echoed in his heart, words she had repeated every night when exhaustion weighed down her bones after 12-hour shifts, cleaning floors others stepped on without thought. Don't let anyone tell you where you belong. Your mind decides your place, not their judgment. He swallowed hard, meeting the CEO's eyes. "I know the problem you're facing, and I know how to fix it in seconds." That was how it began. An uninvited voice at the table of power, the voice of someone no one expected to matter, and it would change everything. The company was on the brink of collapse. Their latest project, a system worth nearly $100 million, had failed. Engineers, analysts, and consultants had spent sleepless nights trying to figure out why the numbers weren't aligning, why their model kept breaking. Investors were threatening to pull out, and the press was circling like vultures. One mistake had spiraled into chaos, and no one had the answer. Until that boy spoke. The tension in the room cracked like thunder. The CEO, a tall man with silver hair and a presence that made even senior executives lower their voices, leaned forward. "You think you know the answer?" he asked carefully. His tone wasn't mocking, but it wasn't kind either. It was the voice of a man used to being in control. "Yes," the boy replied without hesitation. His mother, standing at the back of the room with a broom still in her hand, felt her chest tighten. She had begged him not to come into this room. She knew how cruel people could be, how they laughed at someone from their world. But the look on his face, the burning determination in his eyes, stopped her from pulling him away. "What's your name?" the CEO asked. "Malik," he said firmly. "My name is Malik." "Malik," the CEO repeated, rolling the name across his tongue like he was trying to understand it. "And what makes you think you've solved a problem that has cost this company millions of dollars and the finest minds in the industry?" Malik glanced at the projector screen where endless data sprawled like a tangled web. He took a breath, his voice calm but confident. "Because you're overcomplicating it. Everyone here is searching for answers in the wrong direction. You're trying to fix a broken structure by piling more weight on it. But if you strip it back, look at it the way it was meant to function, you'll see the flaw. It's simple. So simple, it's painful. You didn't see it sooner?" A ripple of shock spread through the room. One of the senior engineers scoffed loudly. "This is ridiculous. He's a kid. We've been working on this for months. Who even let him in?" Malik's jaw tightened. "Sometimes the people closest to the ground see what those standing high up can't. My mom cleans this place every night. I've been around your systems long enough to know how they work, maybe even better than you think." The CEO's eyes narrowed, intrigued. He raised a hand to silence the murmurs. "Go on. Show me what you see." Malik walked toward the screen, his sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. He picked up the laser pointer from the table, his hand steady now. He circled one section of the data, the very place dozens of experts had overlooked. "Here. This is where the numbers break, not because of a lack of calculation, but because of a duplicated formula. You've been running the same loop twice, and it's canceling itself out. If you delete this one step..." He paused, his finger hovering over the line of data. Everything falls back into place. The system works. The room froze. The senior engineer grabbed his laptop, typing furiously. Within seconds, the screen shifted, the broken model transforming into a clean, functioning system. A gasp spread across the table. It's working, the engineer stammered. The executives leaned in, their jaws dropping. Years of experience, millions of dollars wasted, and the answer had been sitting in front of them, unseen, until a cleaner's son walked in. The CEO leaned back slowly, his hand covering his mouth as if to contain the shock. His eyes stayed on Malik, studying him like he was more than just a boy, like he was seeing something extraordinary for the first time. "You solved $100 million problem," he whispered. Malik didn't gloat. He didn't smile with pride. He just stepped back, his voice quiet but firm. "I just wanted you to see what was already there." His mother's eyes filled with tears, her hands trembling against the broom handle. She had spent years scrubbing floors while people barely noticed she existed. And now her son, her brilliant, determined son, had forced the world to notice him. But not everyone was ready to accept it. "This is absurd," one of the board members snapped. "Are we seriously giving credit to some janitor's kid? What happens when he's wrong next time?" The CEO raised his hand sharply. "Enough!" His voice boomed, silencing the room. He turned back to Malik. "You've done something incredible, but tell me this. Why? Why step in? What made you take that risk?" Malik looked down at his mother, then back at the CEO. "Because I'm tired of watching her be invisible. She works harder than anyone in this building, and nobody sees her. I thought if I could prove myself, maybe they'd finally see her too." The words hit like a thunderclap, raw and unfiltered. The room went quiet, guilt settling heavy on the shoulders of those who had walked past his mother every single day without even learning her name. And in that moment, the CEO knew this wasn't just about solving a problem. This was about a truth too many people had ignored for too long. The boardroom was still thick with silence, the kind of silence that carried weight, pressing on everyone's chest. Malik stood there, small in presence but towering in brilliance. His mother still clutched the broom, frozen in the corner like she wasn't sure if she should step forward or hide. The CEO, Robert Whitaker, finally spoke, his voice slow, deliberate, and heavy with thought. "You've done something no one else here could do, Malik. You didn't just save this project. You may have saved this company." Murmurs erupted again, a mixture of awe and resistance. The older executives shifted uncomfortably in their chairs, their pride wounded by the fact that a boy, not one of their well-paid experts, had seen what they had missed. One man in a gray suit slammed his palm on the table. "This is madness. We can't just hand over credit to some child who happened to stumble in here. Do you realize the implications? What if this gets out? The press will have a field day. What will investors think? That we needed a janitor's son to bail us out." Malik's mother flinched at the word, but Malik didn't look away. His voice cut through the room with calm steel. "You should be asking yourself something else. What will investors think if they find out you had the answer in front of you and you ignored it because of who said it?" The room went silent again. For the first time, the executives weren't sneering. They were listening. Robert leaned forward, folding his hands on the table. His sharp blue eyes locked on Malik's dark, determined gaze. "You've got courage, I'll give you that," he said. "But courage doesn't run a company. Brilliance does. And sometimes, humility does too." He turned his attention to the board. "Let's face it. This boy just saved us $100 million. You can be outraged, embarrassed, whatever you want to feel, but none of you did what he just did. And if you're afraid of the truth getting out, maybe that says more about you than it does about him." Gasps and whispers darted around the table, but no one dared challenge Robert this time. His voice carried authority, the kind that couldn't be dismissed. Then Robert did something no one expected. He stood up and walked around the table until he was standing directly in front of Malik, He extended his hand. "Malik," he said, "how would you like to work here?" The words hung in the air like thunder. Malik blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. His mother nearly dropped the broom. "What?" Malik whispered. "I'm offering you an internship," Robert said firmly. "You'll have access to our resources, mentorship from our top engineers, and a chance to prove that what you did today wasn't luck. It was talent. Extraordinary talent." The executives exploded in protest. "You can't be serious," one shouted. "This is against protocol." Another barked. "An internship? For him? He doesn't even have a degree." Robert's voice boomed over them all. "I don't care about protocol. I care about results. And today he proved he has what it takes. Don't talk to me about degrees when a room full of PhDs couldn't solve what he just did in seconds." Malik stood frozen, his heart racing. He glanced back at his mother, her eyes wide, her lips trembling. She had worked every night to keep food on the table, often skipping meals herself so he could eat. She had sacrificed her dreams so he could have a chance at his. And now the chance was real. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, almost afraid to break the moment. "Take it, Malik. Take it." But Malik hesitated. His voice came out low, shaky but firm. "I'll accept on one condition." The entire board leaned forward, stunned. Robert raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "And what's that?" Malik turned, pointing to his mother. "She doesn't get ignored anymore. She's not just a cleaner. She's the reason I even had the courage to walk into this room. If you want me, you respect her." The room gasped again, but Robert didn't flinch. Instead, his lips curved into the faintest smile, a rare thing, as those who knew him would tell you. "You've got a sharp mind, Malik," he said. "But more importantly, you've got a good heart, and that's rarer than intelligence." He turned to Malik's mother. "Ma'am, what's your name?" Her voice was soft, trembling. "Angela." Robert nodded. "Angela, from today forward, you're not just another face in this building. You're family here. No one in this company will forget your name again." Angela covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not as someone who scrubbed away others' messes, but as a person, a mother, the reason brilliance had stepped into the light. But not everyone was ready to celebrate. One of the executives, red-faced with fury, stood abruptly. "This is ridiculous. We're setting a dangerous precedent. What's next, promoting janitors to CFO? If this boy gets an internship, I'm resigning." Robert didn't even look at him. "Then resign." His tone was icy, final. "This company doesn't need arrogance. It needs vision." The man stood frozen, his threat collapsing under the weight of Robert's conviction. No one else dared to argue after that. Malik felt his chest swell with a mix of fear and excitement. He had just changed the course of his life in a single act of courage. But deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. He wasn't walking into a world ready to embrace him. He was walking into a world determined to test him, to break him, to see if he was truly as extraordinary as he had seemed in that one moment. And as Robert placed a firm hand on his shoulder, Malik realized he was ready. Malik's first day as an intern didn't feel like victory. It felt like a battlefield. He walked into the towering glass building with his mother's proud eyes still burning in his mind. Angela had hugged him tighter than ever that morning, whispering, "This is your moment, Malik. Don't let anyone dim your light." But as soon as he entered the office, he could feel the stares. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with quiet admiration, but too many with disdain. Whispers followed him like shadows. "That's the janitor's kid. Lucky break. Let's see how long he lasts. He'll never survive here." And yet, Malik pressed forward. Robert, the CEO, kept his promise. He assigned Malik to shadow the engineers, giving him access to problems they were working on. At first, Malik sat quietly, listening, absorbing. He knew he was the outsider. He knew they were waiting for him to fail. But when Malik spoke, he did what he had always done, saw what others overlooked. On his third day, when a group of engineers argued endlessly over a new algorithm, Malik spoke up. His voice was calm, steady. "You're optimizing for speed," he said. "But the system isn't failing because of speed. It's failing because you're not accounting for data drift. If you adjust the parameters here," he pointed to a line of code, "the model won't collapse." They laughed at first. One man even sneered, "Stay in your lane, kid." But when they tested his suggestion, silence fell. The system worked. Perfectly. It happened again and again. Problems that swallowed entire teams for days fell before Malik's sharp mind in minutes. He wasn't arrogant about it. He never gloated, never sought attention. He simply worked, letting his results speak louder than his background ever could. But with brilliance came resentment. One evening, Malik stayed late, determined to finish a simulation. As he packed up, he noticed his laptop files had been tampered with. Someone had altered his code, planting deliberate mistakes to make him look incompetent. His heart pounded, anger and betrayal rising, but instead of quitting, he calmly fixed every single error and left a note on the system log. "If you're trying to break me, thank you. You're only making me stronger." The next morning, Robert called him into his office. He had seen the log. "Malik," Robert said quietly, "they're going to test you. Some of them are scared of you. Some of them are jealous. But don't let it get to you. You know what I see when I look at you." Malik hesitated. "What?" Robert leaned forward, his voice steady. "I see the future, and the future always scares people stuck in the past." Those words anchored Malik through the storm. Weeks turned into months, and Malik's reputation spread, not just inside the company, but outside. Investors heard whispers about a teenage intern solving problems seasoned engineers couldn't. Competitors grew uneasy. The board members who had once sneered now shifted uncomfortably in his presence, forced to respect the boy they had dismissed. Then came the biggest test of all. The company was about to launch a groundbreaking product. Billions were on the line. But on the eve of the launch, disaster struck. The system crashed. Engineers panicked, investors threatened to walk away, and the entire company braced for collapse. Robert turned to Malik. "Can you fix this?" Every eye in the room was on him. Some hoped he would succeed. Others prayed he would fail. Malik took a deep breath and sat down. His fingers flew across the keyboard, eyes scanning endless streams of data. Minutes felt like hours. Sweat dripped down his forehead, but he didn't stop. Finally, he pressed enter. The system rebooted. The red error screens vanished, replaced by a smooth, flawless interface. The launch was saved. The room erupted. Some clapped, some simply stared in stunned silence. Robert, however, did something none of them expected. He stood, walked to Malik, and in front of everyone, board members, engineers, investors, he placed his hand on Malik's shoulder and said, "From this day forward, Malik isn't just an intern. He's part of the leadership team." The shock was electric. Gasps, murmurs, disbelief rippled across the room. A cleaner's son on the leadership team of one of the most powerful companies in the country? Malik's throat tightened, his eyes burning. He looked at his mother, who had been invited to witness the launch. Angela was crying openly, her hands pressed against her heart. He remembered all the nights she had come home exhausted, her clothes smelling of bleach, her eyes red from scrubbing until her skin cracked. And now she was watching her son step into a future neither of them had dared to imagine. But Malik didn't take the glory for himself. He turned to the crowd and spoke softly, but every word landed heavy. "This isn't just about me. This is about every person you overlook. The janitor who cleans your floor, the driver who gets you home safely, the cashier who smiles at you when you're tired. You think they're invisible. But behind every uniform is a mind, a heart, and a dream. If you give them a chance, you might be shocked at what they can do." The room was silent. Even those who despised him couldn't argue with the truth standing before them. Angela wiped her tears, whispering, "That's my boy." Malik had done more than solve problems. He had changed a company, forced it to see beyond titles and backgrounds. He had proved that genius can come from anywhere, that greatness doesn't wear a suit, and that sometimes the most extraordinary people are hidden in the most ordinary places. And when Robert shook his hand again, he said the words Malik would never forget. "You didn't just fix our company. You reminded us what humanity looks like. Life isn't always about being the smartest in the room. It's about daring to speak when no one expects you to." Malik's story is proof that no matter where you come from, your value isn't determined by the labels the world puts on you. Think about your own life. How many times have you walked past someone without noticing them? The bus driver, the cleaner, the security guard. Maybe the person you least expect has the power to change everything. So remember this: never underestimate anyone, because greatness doesn't come with a title, it comes with courage. And that is the story of the genius son of a cleaner who solved a $100 problem in seconds, and in doing so, changed not only his life, but an entire company forever. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to Black Saga, drop a comment, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today.